Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Walkthrough Radio Show with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. And if you're listening on the radio or if you're watching us on YouTube, you got a little surprise today. You thought you were just going to see me and K Walk, but we got Britne Jones as well. So Britne, we're happy to have you today for sure. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing well, doing well. Welcome, Britt. Welcome.
I'm good. Happy Father's Day, you guys, and happy Father's Day to everyone out there. But like I said, appreciate it's a little early. I like to get my sleep in on Sundays, but it's okay. I'm here and I'm glad to be here.
We appreciate that. And we appreciate that.
Yeah. We're super excited to have you, Britt. And as to echo what Britt said, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. K-Walk, happy Father's Day to you too, my man.
Happy Father's Day,
all right,
brother.
Let's get into it. NBA Finals is over. Last time we were all on a show together, we were still knee deep in this series, but the Warriors took care of things, closed out Game 6. K-Walk, man, just give me your thoughts. Would you see Game 6 and the Warriors are NBA champions?
I just saw a hungrier Warriors team, and I just seen, Steph wanted to close it out. He's that guy. We mentioned it several times, since it happened, is that the Warriors just been there before. They've been there before. They understand what it took to close a game out or close a series out, and they ultimately did that. I mean, guys came to play. Draymond Green even came to play. I mean, these guys understood what it took to get it done. Didn't want to have it lingering. They finally decided to eat the mouse, and to use my terms, they got tired of playing with those guys. And on the other side is Boston just didn't have too much, man. You could just tell that they weren't there before. They didn't know how to close the game out. They struggled. We see them struggle in the Milwaukee series. That won Game 7. The Miami Heat series, that won Game 7. And I thought they could have closed those series out a lot earlier than they ultimately did. But I just think that Golden State was just too much for him. Steph Curry just showed, he's arguably in the top 10 of all time. Now that's a different argument for a different day, but we'll dive into that today. But hats off to those guys, man. They just came to play and played as a well-oiled machine for sure.
Yeah, man, it was surprising to me that they closed them out on Boston's home floor. But Britt, man, give me your thoughts on this game. And were you surprised that they did it on Boston's home floor?
You know what? Because the whole time I had Boston taking the series because I really believed that they would show up and show out. But what changed my mind, and we haven't spoken since our Friday show, what changed our minds when I seen Game 4. After I seen Game 4 and the way Boston lost in that game during the last so many minutes, bad shot selection, they just looked defeated to me. And I just said the series just changed, and I believe now the Warriors will take this in 6 games. And the fact that the Warriors won it in 6 games, they won 3 straight games to close it out. But like K-Walk said, just the inexperience. And I've been saying this, if Boston's not consistent, if they don't have the energy coming out, they're not going to win this series. And if they make too many mistakes, such as turnovers, the Warriors are experienced enough to capitalize on it. And that's exactly what happened. And got to give it to Steph Curry. Steph Curry killed them. And I have to now give props to Draymond Green because I was killing them the first 3 games.
Yes.
Because he showed up the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Because see what happened with this Warriors team, but pushing somebody out of that.
And let's talk about Boston for a minute here, because like you said, Britt, after 3 games, I mean, I was convinced that Boston was maybe the better team. And then, like you said, once we saw Game 4 and so on, it was clear that Golden State was the more experienced team. They've been there, they've done it. And I really thought that experience made a big difference. But K-Walk, Jason Tatum, he was almost invisible in Game 6, and everyone was ready to anoint this guy the next NBA superstar. I feel like we need to pump the brakes on that a little bit. I mean, obviously he's a really good player, but what did you see from Tatum, man? What happened? Why was he just invisible in Game 6?
It just seems like he was looking to for the foul. He just wasn't being himself, man. I mean, Jaylen Brown was the MVP. If they would have won that series, I think you had to give the MVP to Jaylen Brown. It just seems like Tatum was just searching for fouls. He was looking for stuff that wasn't there. He was hoping that the refs would give it to him, give him the calls. I mean, there were some calls there, man. It just didn't make sense why he would. I mean, some moves that he made just didn't make sense. And you can tell he was deliberately just trying to get the foul call. He knew they weren't going to foul him. He was just hoping that a foul would be called. And I don't know what it was, Jay. He just disappeared. I mean, it wasn't like he couldn't get his own shot. He was getting by people. He was getting by Curry. They had Curry on him for the most part. They did close in him on a little bit, with Draymond Green and Wiggins, once he got there. But it seems like he just tried to create too much, try to do too much, in my opinion. And for him just to be searching for fouls, Jay, it just took him out of his game. And especially when he wasn't getting those calls, it just took him completely out of his game. And it's now like it's like, okay, now I got to hit these 3-pointers. And I think that what ultimately happened too is they tried to play Golden State's game as well, meaning the Celtics. They try to go up and down the court with them, try to match threes with them. Granted, they can hit them, but I just think that they settle too much for those threes as opposed to being who they are and what got them there. And that's one-on-one basketball, not one-on-one basketball, but they were able to they were better than the men that they were guarding them. But I just think they just got out of their game. They played Warriors basketball, and they ultimately lost.
Yeah, you're not going to beat the Warriors at their own game, that's for sure.
No.
And I thought Andrew Wiggins did a phenomenal job on Tatum as well. Tatum had 100 turnovers in this series. That's a new NBA record, man. 100 turnovers. Crazy. That's crazy. But Britt, going forward, right? A lot of people are saying that the Celtics need to get a true point guard, that Marcus Smart is not someone that should be running that offense and setting up the offense. What do you think the Celtics need, Britt, as we fast forward to next season? Do you like the roster? Do you think they need to make any tweaks? How do you see the Celtics going forward?
You know what? I like the roster. I think that Jason Tatum needs to command the ball a lot more. Sometimes I feel like he could be a little like, you know what, Jalen, I'll have you take it. Or Marcus Smart, you take those shots. So I think him being an up and coming star, he needs to want the ball in certain moments, and just do his thing because he has the talent.
Yeah.
Comes up and down, goes up. I think he can be that playmaker.
Okay.
Needed. He just needs to develop maybe someone like a veteran backup, like what's the guy who just went to the Nets? Dragic. I think being on there just to just to provide that veteran point guard leadership, maybe coming off the bench because he's such a good facilitator of the ball and he can shoot. I think he would be a good piece to really tie this team together. So I don't think they need to do much though.
Okay. And let's go to the other side, Britt, because Andrew Wiggins and Poole are both going to be in their final year of their contract. How important do you think it'll be on the Warriors side to make sure they sign Wiggins and Jordan Poole?
Oh, especially Wiggins. I think it's extremely important because it provided so much relief for Clay and Steph. Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to re-sign Jordan Poole. It depends on where he wants to be because the way he played this year, he's going to command a lot of money. I'm not exactly sure what the cap space is looking like for the Warriors. I also heard that they're interested in Bradley Beal. So actually not that bad. If you could trade Jordan Poole over to the Wizards for Bradley Beal, that dynamic would just be ridiculous. Now, it's going to be a little tough on the defense side, but if they get Bradley Beal and retain Andrew Wiggins, I think the Warriors going to win it again next year. So you got to keep one of the two.
And if I had to choose, I would take Wiggins. I think he's much more valuable to that team. And I think Wiggins is still young. Like, I know it feels like he's been in the league forever, but I think he's only like 26 or 27 years old. So you could make the argument that he hasn't even hit his prime yet. So I think Wiggins is a huge part of that team. K-Walk, what say you about Wiggins and Poole? How important is it going to be for the Warriors to bring them back?
Yeah, very important, Jay. You see exactly. We talked about Wiggins and how important he was in this series and the NBA Finals, especially the last two games. Especially when Clay wasn't, doing anything, or when Draymond wasn't doing his thing. Jordan Poole is the same way, man. I think I know, when you get championship teams like this, you want to run it back and you want to keep everybody. But once you see how important, other teams see how important these guys are to that particular team, they're going to have to go out there and they're going to, show them the money. And it's going to be hard for those guys to turn them away from that money. They got a championship. So listen, I got a championship, and now I'm going to go get my money. So I'm going to say it's going to be hard. I think they should focus more on Wiggins though, than anything, because you with Jordan Poole, I think you can bring in a veteran back up, and you got guys like Steph Curry who can bring the ball up. Thompson can bring the ball, Clay can bring the ball up, Dre can bring the ball up as well at times. So I think it's more important to keep Wiggins. If you only can keep one of those guys, it's more important to keep Wiggins than Poole. Not to say Poole isn't important, very important, but I just think if you can't keep both, focus more on Wiggins.
Yeah, absolutely. And K-Walk, you mentioned Steph Curry, and there has been so much talk, and deservedly so, about Steph Curry over the last few weeks. He was phenomenal. 4 championships now. He finally got that elusive Finals MVP. He's been a 2-time regular MVP. I mean, the accolades for Steph are just stacking up. And I've heard people after the championship saying, look, this is the greatest point guard to ever play. He's now in the top 10. Some people are putting him in the top 5. I mean, the conversations are just getting crazy around Steph Curry. So what I want to do, man, I want to do our NBA Mount Rushmore, right? Let's bring some uniformity back to this thing, and let's figure out if we had to put a Mount Rushmore together. And there's only 4 spots on Mount Rushmore. Right. There's not 5. Right. So I want to hear your guys' your NBA Mount Rushmore all time, not current players, but your all-time NBA Mount Rushmore. And K-Walk, I'll start with you. Give it to me.
Yeah, this when you presented this, Jay. This is an easy one for me, man. I'm going to start with MJ. MJ has to be there. He's in my opinion, he's the greatest of all time. Second, I'm going to go with another MJ. That's Magic Johnson. I feel like he's the second best player of all time. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, I said it. So I'm going to go MJ, Magic. My third one, I'm going to go with the captain. I'm going to go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Greatest all-time leading scorer in NBA history, and we've seen a lot of scorers, in the past. So I'm going to go with Kareem, and to round it out, I'm going to go with the man who has the most championships, and that's Bill Russell. So I just think, those are my top 4, man. I just can't see anyone else being on that Mount Rushmore, man. I just can't see anyone being better than those 4. And please don't hope everyone puts LeBron on there, please. But go ahead. That's my top 4.
I was going to say, you and I have 3 out of the 4 the same. I obviously got Mike, Magic, and Kareem, but I did put LeBron on there as well, because when you just look at what this guy has done, he's been to 9 NBA Finals. The championships, obviously, just the unstoppable force that LeBron has been. And K-Walk, LeBron is not one of my favorite players at all. But when you just look at some of the things that he's accomplished, he's going to finish the all-time scoring leader. I mean, it's hard for me to keep him all, even though I'm a little bit biased. But Britt, give me yours. Who you got on your Mount Rushmore?
I think mine's and K-Walk's is pretty much the same. So I got MJ, Michael Jordan, I got Magic Johnson, I got Kareem, and I can't push Bill off yet. I cannot now. Maybe if once LeBron eclipse Kareem in all-time points, then maybe I'll push. It's just that Bill has 11 titles. 11. Right. Nobody else has done that. And he was a part of the era that completely changed the game with Wilt and how we play the game today. Like the way they play, the way he came in, that's still impacting the game today. How many years later was that? So I can't push off Bill yet. So that's my Mount Rushmore right now. We might want to start doing this in errors, by the way.
Yeah, for real.
Right.
Let me ask you this, because when people talk about Russell, that's what they go to, right? Those 11 championships. Does it and I don't want to take anything away from Russell, but at the time there was what, 8 teams in the league, 10 teams in the league. So could I argue that it was much easier to win a championship back then? So maybe we shouldn't put as much weight on those 11 titles.
But you had Wilt back then, and Bill, my understanding, they used to have some battles, and Bill always came out on top. So it was only 8 teams, but you had 2 of the best big men going at each other, and Bill always came victorious, although they were also best friends. So granted, but he still got the titles, because there's a lot of players to me that have titles that are not in the top 50 players, the top 75 players. So Bill did it though. Bill, he was a player. He was a good player. And back then, people don't realize this, there was really no dunking. Like, Bill had to shoot the ball. He's a big man that shot the ball. And same thing with Wilt. There was no dunking. There was no 3-point shooting. So it wasn't as easy to get these points as people may think it was, because they weren't like 7-foot guys slamming on 6'2" guys. They had to shoot and do these little hook shots 24/7 and know how to shoot their free throws for big men. Shaq and whoever else can shoot these free throws.
All right, so we're close. Our Mount Rushmores are pretty close. You and K Walk are the same. I substituted LeBron instead of Russell, but we're pretty close. Now I'm gonna put you guys on the spot a little bit. I didn't tell you this was coming, but I was watching Colin Cowherd the other day, and he gave his Mount Rushmore, and his was exactly like mine. But he has something else he calls a Mount little bit less. And this is basically his next 4 guys that he would go to, right? So he had Bill Russell in his next 4. He had Larry Bird in his next 4, Kobe Bryant in his next 4, and Steph Curry in his next 4. Do you take any issue with that, K-Walk? Russell, Bird, Kobe, and Steph as the next 4 on the mini Mount Rushmore, if you will.
Well, obviously, I gotta take issue with Bill Russell because I have him on my Mount Rushmore. So gotta take issue there first. But LeBron, no, I don't have an issue with that, because I do see a lot of people having LeBron on their Mount Rushmore. So no, I don't have an issue with that. Definitely don't have an issue with Kobe being there either. Definitely have an issue with Steph being there, though. I'm sorry. I don't know who I would put there right off the top of the head. But it wouldn't be Steph Curry, that's for sure. Just looking at my list here of guys who I have, I would probably put who would I put? You said it was Larry Bird, Kobe, LeBron.
He had Russell
Steph, right?
Bird. He had Russell Bird.
Russell
Kobe,
Bird,
and Steph.
Kobe. All right. So so then I would put LeBron there. I would put LeBron instead of Steph. I would put LeBron instead of Steph there. I can definitely see LeBron being on that Mount Rushmore. I would definitely do it. So that's the only issue that I would have with that, Bill and Steph being on there.
Britt, what about you? Any issues with a mini Mount Rushmore? Bird, Kobe, Steph, Russell?
Look, I love Steph Curry. I really do. Greatest shooter. I just think we get a little too excited with accolades sometimes. And like I said before, there's a lot of players in this league that has a lot of accolades that wouldn't even be put in the top 75. So definitely top 15, closer to me being top 10. He may push somebody. I gotta go back and look at my top 10. But I'm with K-Walk on this one. If it's my list, LeBron has to be there. If it's his list, I think you're skipping over people like Tim Duncan. To me, I know a lot of people don't pick KG up there, but I put KG up there. What about KD? You got Kevin Durant that you're skipping over. Shaq, exactly. See, thank you. And I just mentioned him earlier, Shaq. So I think you're skipping a lot of people because we're in the moment right now. I think he was just in a moment and saying that with all the excitement going on. So not yet.
Yeah. And you're right. You use the word excitement, and there is a lot of excitement around Steph Curry. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're doing Take Your Pick. Steph Curry versus everybody, because I have heard so much this week about Steph Curry, and I need to find out from you guys who he's better than, who he's not better than, who we're going to put him over, who we're going to keep him under. We're going to solve this Steph Curry mystery when we come back. We're listening to the walkthrough with Kevin Walker, Jason Collins, and special guest Britne Jones. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Walkthrough Radio Show with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins. We've also got Britne Jones with us today. All right, guys, let's talk about Steph Curry. I've heard people say this is the greatest point guard that's ever lived. These are just things I've heard this week. Greatest point guard to ever live, that this era should go down as the LeBron Steph era, not just the LeBron James era. Obviously, greatest shooter that's ever lived. People are giving Steph all kinds of credit, and some of it is very well deserved, but are people going too far is what we really need to figure out. So let's do a take your pick. It's going to be Steph Curry versus a bunch of different guys. I'm going to start with the ones that I think are easy and then kind of work my way down. So, well, let's start here. Steph Curry, Magic Johnson. Take your pick.
Come on now. I'm going, man. He's on my Mount Rushmore, so you already know the answer to that. So yeah, Magic Johnson. I'm not even going to debate it. There's no debate there. Magic is my second greatest player of all time, and we just mentioned earlier he's on my Mount Rushmore. Excuse me. So yeah, Magic, Irvin Johnson.
Yeah, this is easy for me too. I'm taking Magic. I think sometimes because Magic didn't try to score a lot, people want to say, oh, he couldn't score. I think Magic, if he wanted to, could have scored the basketball, but that just wasn't the game that he was playing. I got Magic pretty easy. Britt, what say you?
See, I think that's just means a lot of people put too much emphasis on scoring a lot of times. What else could you have to look at it as perspective of what else could Steph do if he didn't have the 3-point shooting? So that's a question. But he's a great 3-point shooter, so we'll probably never ask that question. But I gotta go with Magic. He single-handedly beat my favorite team of all time in his rookie season, which I wasn't born, but it still hurts to even know that, to win the championships.
And it hurts that you weren't born when that happened. Hurts me that you weren't born.
So I gotta go with Magic.
All right, I'm gonna stay with you on this one, Britt. Let's go to Mr. LeBron James. Everyone says this is the LeBron James era of basketball, but Steph is holding 4 rings in the LeBron era, and 2 of those times he beat LeBron for those rings, or 3 of those times he beat LeBron for those rings. So what say you, Britt? Steph Curry or LeBron James?
This one is a little tougher. He also had KD 2 of those times with Clay, but then LeBron has some decent players as well. And LeBron beat him when he only had Kyrie, and he came back from 3-1. I got to go with LeBron, though. It's just because he elevates everybody else's game around him. He makes everybody else so much better, the type of player that he is, and the fact of what he not only does on the offensive side of the ball, but the things LeBron has done on the defensive side of the ball, especially when it comes from those blocks. When he runs after you and get those blocks, whoo, that's a sight to see. So I gotta go with LeBron on this one. That was hard though.
All right, K-Walk, I know LeBron is not like one of your favorite guys, but obviously you respect what he can do on the basketball floor. But who do you got here, man? Steph or LeBron?
Well, to stay consistent, man, I said that I would put, on LeBron on that second Mount Rushmore and take Steph off. So I'm gonna stay consistent, and I'm gonna go with Britt, and I'm gonna say LeBron for a lot of things that Britt said. I mean, as much as I dislike Bron, I'm still not over him breaking up with Miami Heat. So if I sound like a disgruntled girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever the case may be, I apologize, lady. I'm still not over that breakup. But no, great. I mean, just outstanding player, great all-around player, man. I mean, just like Britt said, he can facilitate, makes a lot of guys around him better. Very exciting. Can shoot the ball. I think his perimeter game, his perimeter shooting game has improved a lot in the last few years, and he's getting older, and it still looks like it's getting better, especially his 3-point shooting as well. I think he has to still work on his 3-point shooting. I don't know if it's too little too late for that, but overall, I'm going to take LeBron over Steph for sure.
I'm going to take LeBron as well, but it's getting closer for me. It's getting closer. Like if Steph sneaks out another championship or two, we may have to really think about this. But for now, I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm going to stay with LeBron. All right, let's go. K-Walk, I'll stay with you here. Isaiah Thomas, which a lot of people consider one of the best small guards the league has ever seen. I would agree with that. But has Steph now passed Isaiah? Take your pick, K-Walk. Steph or Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah, I have to agree with the census if they say that Steph has passed Isaiah. Isaiah is one of the greatest that ever do it, but I'm going to take Steph over Isaiah. I mean, I just, nothing to take away from Zeke, man. I mean, he was an excellent competitor, a decent a defender, just a tenacious guy, but I just think that you look at the tools and you look at what actually Steph can do over what Zeke can do. I'm going to take Steph in this one. So he's going to get my first vote here. So I'm taking Steph over Zeke.
All right, Steph finally wins one. I'm going to take Steph too. Sometimes I think whenever, and rightfully so, everyone calls Steph the greatest shooter of all time. But sometimes I think that gets lost in some of the other things that he can do on the floor. He's an excellent ball handler. He can get to the rim and finish. We saw that some in this final series as well. So I think sometimes we talk about how great of a shooter he is, and we forget that he can do some other things on the floor as well. I'm going to take Steph. Britt, are you making this unanimous?
This one, now you started to get to the harder ones. I'm gonna go with Steph, not by much though, because Isaiah Thomas was a dog. He was a dog, and I think what gets me with Isaiah is his defensive prowess. That Steph, we don't really see that from Steph because he's so focused on shooting the ball and getting to the rim. But I'm gonna take Steph on this one, not by much.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Steph's former teammate, Kevin Durant. We just saw the Boston Celtics lock KD down 4 straight games, and Steph didn't have those problems with Boston. Now we could come up with a lot of reasons why. Maybe it's the Warriors offense, whatever the case may be. But when you look at these two guys, Brittany, I'll start with you here. Who are you taking, Steph Curry or Kevin Durant?
Look, I love KD. I think right now I'm just stuck right now because of what happened in this series, and KD looked weak. He looked weak in that first round series. He really did. And I was just like, KD got punked by Boston this year. No disrespect, because he's such a talented guy. So I got to go with Steph on this one. And that was hard, but I got to go with Steph, because Steph ain't never get punked out like that. I mean, Steph has some tough games because he depends so much on that 3 shot, although he can do other things. But he ain't never get punked like that. So I'm going with Steph. I gotta go with Steph.
Yeah, you know what? If someone would have asked me this a year ago, I would have been like, this isn't even a question. Like, it's KD all day long. But I'm with you, Britt. I'm going with Steph. After watching them both play against that great Celtics defense, KD couldn't find the answers, and Steph did. So I'm taking Steph for now. That might change next year, but for now, I'm taking Steph. K-Walk, what say you?
I'm going to make it unanimous, man. I just think that everything that you guys mentioned, I think that, that first round against Boston, and what Steph ultimately did and won the championship. So I think it's kind of easy for me. But like you stated, Jay, if you asked me this in the beginning of the season, I would have taken KD over Steph without question. But seeing it in big time games and, in big time series, he just couldn't get it done, meaning KD. And you like Britt just said, they punked him. They just punked him, and he had no answer. No adjustments were made whatsoever. And Steph did Steph came through. I mean, he relied on his 3. He did what he did. He got to the basket. So yeah, for me, it's Steph for sure. This is an easy one for me.
All right, it's unanimous. All right, last one, because I know we got to get to your segment, K-Walk.
All right, take your time.
And I'll start with you here. The great Allen Iverson, Philly's own. against Steph Curry. Who you got here, K-Walk? This
Yeah,
tough,
please start
man.
with me. Yeah, I'm gonna say please start with me.
You know, AI lives in the heart of those Philly fans.
Oh,
But what say you? Take your pick. Steph Curry or
you knew I was coming on this show, Jay. You knew I was coming on this show, Jay. That's why you did that.
Oh man, you know what, Jay, this is probably the toughest one out of all of them. As much as Steph is doing this thing, man, I got, you know what? I'm sorry, Britt. I gotta say, I'm gonna take Steph over AI, man. And nothing to take away from the dog that he has in him, meaning AI, and the things that he did, and the way he changed the game. You know, and when he was playing, just played 2 feet big taller than he actually was. You know, nothing to take away. I loved AI, crossover, all that good stuff. But Steph is just, he's closer to my top 10 than AI. So I have to stay consistent when I'm making these picks. So with that being said, I'm going to take Steph over AI. Not by much, Britt, but I am taking him over AI. I'm sorry.
All right, Britne Jones, where are you going on this? Steph Curry or your Allen Iverson?
See, y'all going, I already know where everybody else is going to pick. Like, I already know, and I already know why you put this in there, because you know who I'm going to choose. No ifs, ands about it. Good. Listen, AI don't have the accolades that Steph has, right? He doesn't have the championships because, let's be real, he never had the team surrounding him that Steph did. He never had a Klay Thompson. He never had a Draymond Green. He never had a KD on his team. When you look at that 2001 team, Allen Iverson, barely 6 feet, Allen Iverson averaged 31.1 points to carry his team all the way to the finals. You want to know how many points the next player had behind him? They averaged about 12 or 13, which was, I think, Theo Ratliff, who didn't even end the season with them at the time, which is crazy to me. Like, if you really think about the team, he had Theo Ratliff at one point in time, George Lynch, Matt Geiger, Eric Snow. Like, that's not a good team offensively. So he had to do it by himself. And he did it like that for years. So because of that, I got to go with Allen Iverson. I know Steph is the greatest shooter of all time, but Steph also right now depends on a lot of screens. Can he do other things? Like, he has great handles. Yes. But does he have Allen Iverson type handles? No. So, and people forget how athletic AI was when he was dunking on guys and stuff like that and earlier in his career. And it's just that heart and soul of AI that just got everybody. So I got to go with Allen Iverson. I'm sorry, Steph. I don't care what anybody else chooses. I'm going with AI because y'all know how passionate I get about my AI. So that's that. Look, I don't think he's the greatest point guard, but I got to go with AI.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, you mentioned something. You reminded me how good of an athlete AI was. I remember watching some special on AI and how good of a football player he actually was. Yeah. I think he's even on record saying that he thought he would have been a better football player than he actually was a basketball player. So I don't think you can compare these two guys from an athletic standpoint. I think AI is definitely the better athlete. I think I got to take Steph here, K-Walk and Britt. And a lot of it too is what you said, K-Walk. When I'm making my list of all-time greats, I think I get to Steph before I would get to AI. So for that reason, I'm going to take Steph. And some of it could be, you know, being caught up in the moment. He just won his 4th championship and things like that. But I think for today, I would give Steph that slight edge. But look, we got to wrap it up here. K-Walk's got a segment that he needs to get to. He's got some good stuff to talk about. We're going to get into some NFL topics. So let's take a quick break, and we'll do that when we come back. You're listening to The Walkthrough with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins, with special guest Britne Jones, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, you are tuned into the Walkthrough Radio Show with myself, Kevin Walker, alongside Jason Collins, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. Joining us is our co-host on Friday nights, Miss Britne Jones. On the shoot around, you can catch at 7 p.m. right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. We talk strictly basketball, ladies and gentlemen. Please check that out. Also available on YouTube as well. Great stuff. First half, Jay. Had Britt a little tight, I think, with that last one, but I didn't see it coming, Britt.
Wasn't
So
tight.
don't.
Wasn't tight.
Okay. All right. Britt was a little
Maybe a
passionate.
little
Let me
bit.
rephrase that. Britt, let me
Slightly.
Hey,
All
Slightly.
right,
Kate,
listen,
you notice I got out of that segment pretty quick. I was
Yeah,
like, let
yeah.
me get in and get out of this one.
Y'all gonna stop disrespecting my AI. The answer. He's the
hey,
answer.
Man, those are some rough waters to swim in, Jay, for sure. All right, let's switch gears a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Here, let's go over to the NFL. And NFL is right around the corner. The camps are right around the corner, and each week right now, I want to do a mini preview, if you will. They'll change, throughout, as we get closer to the season. But this week, I want to talk about the NFC South, and I want to get you guys' thoughts and predictions on this. How do you see this particular division playing out? And also, who are the best receivers in this division as well? Jay, I'll start with you on this.
I really think it's a two-team race, K-Walk. I don't expect the Panthers or the Falcons to do much. The Falcons are kind of in a total rebuild mode. To me, they don't have a franchise quarterback. They're going to use Marcus Mariota as a placeholder, but they're going to need to get a franchise QB. They did draft Ritter out of Cincinnati, but he's not going to be ready to go right out of the gate. So they're going to be kind of in a rebuild mode. And the Panthers, although I think they might be better, I still think they're at least another year away before they're going to figure it out. They got to figure out a way to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, K-Walk.
Yeah.
He seems to be hurt all the time. So then it comes down to the Bucs and the Saints. For me, man, with the Saints, I think we're maybe undervaluing the effect of not having Sean Payton on that sideline. Much like your guy in San Francisco, I think Payton is the best or one of the best play callers in the game. So I do think the Saints are going to miss having him on the sideline and his ability to dial up the right plays at the right time. So with that being said, I got to look to the Bucs. Tom Brady's coming back. They're really bringing everybody back, and we'll see if Gronk decides to come back as well. So I just like the Bucs again, man, in that division. I know our good friend Eric Scott would tell us that the Saints have the Bucs number, and maybe they do, but I just think if I look over the long haul of the season, I like the Bucs to win the division.
All right, good stuff there. Good stuff. Britt, what say you about this division?
I'm with Jay. I don't think the Falcons, they're just in complete rebuild mode. They got rid of everybody. Matt Ryan's no longer there. Julio Jones been gone. I don't even know half the roster anymore, I don't think.
Right.
Marcus Mariota, he just never turned out to be what really the all of NFL thought he would be coming out of Oregon. And then as far as the Carolina Panthers, they may be able to do some things on the defensive side of the ball, but they're still lacking a quality elite quarterback is what they need. And then my understanding, is he still there, Robbie Anderson, or does he with the Jets?
He's contemplating retirement, to be honest with you. So he's not there.
He's with the Panthers, right?
He was. Yeah, I think he's a free agent.
So it's like, okay. But even when they did have him, he wasn't doing what they signed him to do. But I'm with Jay. It's between the Saints and the Bucs, and it's hard to go against the Bucs because of Tom Brady. And people don't understand. Last year they weren't healthy. You got Tom Brady coming back, and I understand he's a year older. What is he, about 45, 46 years old? Goodness gracious. And then you got Mike Evans, to me, is still an elite top tier wide receiver, along with Chris Godwin. Versus the Saints, we'll see how that works as far as their situation. Like Jay said, Sean Payton was a huge loss, major loss, because he's a great head coach. I'm just happy the Cowboys didn't get him. Go Eagles, by the way. But I think right now, I gotta go with the Bucs right now because of Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady, all of a sudden his age is starting to get to him. Then I'll go with the Saints because I think the Saints are a little bit better than what people think they are.
Yeah. And with that being said, Britt, I'm going to take the Saints, man. I'm going to take the Saints, but I'll start, it's pretty much, and I can't, say more than you guys already said about the, I don't want to call them bottom feeders, but the two teams that we feel like they're going to finish in the top, the bottom two, and that's the Falcons. They got a big, huge clean house. It was like a blue. It was like I don't know what it was. I don't know what to call it, to be honest with you. But the fact of the matter is, I see them finishing at the bottom of that division. Then you got the Panthers. I think Matt Rule's going to get those guys going. We don't know who that quarterback is going to be either. We don't know what type of quarterback we're going to get as far as Darnold goes. You mentioned Robbie Anderson. We don't know his future there as well, if he's even going to play football, let alone for the Panthers. And Jay, you made a great point as far as McCaffrey, man. I think they need some really good receivers on the outside to keep him from having to carry so much of that load, because of the fact of the matter is they rely on him to do everything, run, catch, everything, man, just everything, screens. And he's only so big as, as cut up as he is, and how much, as many weights as he lifts. That's going to take a toll. And that's one of the things that, I feel about Debo, in San Francisco, but it's going to take its toll, wear and tear. So I think I'm going with the Falcons finishing fourth, the Panthers finishing third. Now, as far as the top two, like I said, I'm going to go with the Saints, man, because I think the Saints, I just think the Saints, with everything that you said, Jay, as far as our host, is a Saints fan. And he's just, Saints just have their number. They just have their numbers. It's something about the Saints and the Bucks where they're able to get it done. Now, I think that the pickup with Landry, as far as the Saints, is huge, and I think it's huge for Jameis Winston. It's huge for Michael Thomas, and it's huge for Alvin Kamara as well. I think that even though that you mentioned, Britt, all the receivers that the Bucks have now, Godwin, Evans, excuse me. And then they also picked up Gage out from Atlanta as well. So that's another pickup. We don't know what you're going to get from Gronk, but they do have, Bray over there, as well as Howard. But I don't think we're going to see that Bucks team that we're expecting to see. I'm going to go with the Saints. I think they'll win this series. They'll win this division by one game. I'm going to take the Saints winning. I'm going to take the Saints. The 12-6 record, is that what it is? That no, 12-5 record. I guess it has to be. And then I'll say the Bucks will have an 11-6 record. So good stuff there, man. Good stuff. We're gonna stay on the NFL talk, guys, and I wanna do is who would you take in this situation? Jay, I'll start with you on this one. And actually, you know what, Brett, I'm gonna start with you because one of these no. Jay, I'll stay with you because I got one of your people here too, Britt. I got one of your people. So Jay, I'll start with you on this one. So we got Michael Parsons, your guy now, versus Nick Bosa, my guy. So who would you take?
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one because both of these guys are super disruptive, right? Bosa's been fantastic for a long time. Parsons just broke into the league last year, and just took the league by storm. If you're asking me who's going to be more disruptive, I feel like Bosa has an opportunity to be disruptive a little bit more often, right? Because he's going to rush the passer every single play, whereas Parsons does more, right? They'll drop him into coverage. Sometimes he'll just play linebacker. Yes, they will rush him off the defensive end, but I think Bosa has more opportunities, and that's why he'll probably end up being more disruptive over the course of a season. So I'm going to take Bosa, but man, I love Parsons and what he's going to bring to that Cowboys defense this year. Look out. Watch out, Eagles. Watch out.
I still can't get used to that, but Britt, what say you?
First of all, because I knew I was coming on, and I knew y'all was going to talk about the Cowboys. So
there we go.
There you go. There you go.
You watching on YouTube. I got my Eagle sweatshirt on always when I come against Jay now. Never thought me and Jay would go at it, but I guess it's the start of something new. But no. I love Michael Parsons, guys, coming out of Penn State. I wanted us to draft him so bad. I was so upset when the Cowboys drafted him. But I got to go with Nick Bosa for all the same reasons Jay say. He's just so disruptive. And he's nonstop. He has his nonstop motor. play after play after play. And what made me nervous, and granted, it was Michael Parsons' rookie year, was that first playoff game. You know, when you need to ramp it up, you need to elevate your game. He was completely taken out of the game. And that could also be because right now the Cowboys defense didn't have much outside of Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. So we'll see what happens for, this coming year and so forth. And like Jay said, Michael Parsons does a little bit more. But I gotta go with Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is, to me, scary. He's scary. I don't like going up against Nick Bosa. Put it that way. So I got to go with Nick Bosa.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna leave this one out. I'm not gonna pick this because it's gonna be biased. So you already know what I'm gonna pick. With that being said, Jay, I'll start with you on this one too, Jay. As we got T.J. Watt out of Pittsburgh, and we got Chase Young, even though he's coming off that injury in Washington. Who would you take?
Look, Washington, even though they're like off the radar a lot just because they haven't been good, their defense is actually pretty darn good. But TJ Watt, man, I mean, look, was he the defensive player of the year last year? I don't remember. If he wasn't, I know he was maybe a finalist for it. So it's hard to pick against TJ Watt, especially with Young coming off the injury. You just never know how he's going to respond. So you got to go TJ Watt here, man. He's been phenomenal for Pittsburgh.
Okay, good stuff. Britt, what say you?
I love Chase Young. Same thing. With the freaking, what are they? The Commanders. Dun, dun, dun.
Commanders. Yes.
Change that name. My only concern with Chase Young, even prior to the injury, I think he played in 8 or 9 games. He only had about 2.5 sacks. So that's concerning to me. So let's see what happens when he comes back next year. But he's still explosive. He's still a dynamic player. But I gotta go with TJ Watt. It's hard to go against any of the Watt brothers. Let's just, we're just gonna go with the TJ Watt. Like you guys alluded to, defensive player of the year, and he's taking his big brother's role and becoming the next big thing on the defensive side of the ball. And he makes that Steelers defense. Without him, I don't think the Steelers defense would be anywhere what it is right now. So I'm going with TJ Watt.
All right. Yes. I'm going to make it unanimous. I'm going to take TJ as well. I mean, I'm not just taking him because of Chase's injury. I'm basing it despite of that and then potential that he has. You mentioned Britt, TJ Watt and Jay, the defensive player of the year, and the Watt brothers as well. But yeah, I like TJ Watt. He's more consistent. I think the Commanders, I got to get used to saying that, the Commanders defense, they just rely on so many different people, not just one guy, where I'm not saying that Pittsburgh does. I think they rely a little bit more on TJ Watt than the Commanders do with Chase Young. Last one, Britt. We got your guy, Fletcher Cox. And then we got DeForest Buckner from the Colts. What do you got? What do you take?
This one is actually hard, guys. I know you could be like, oh, just go with Fletcher Cox. I can't because of how Fletcher Cox played the last year. He did not play good. He did not have the same tenacity. He was just playing like a lazy trucker wanting to sit on the couch and eat McDonald's all day. It was getting me that upset. I was just like, what are you doing? Now, if I go to when he was younger in previous years, I'm going with Fletcher Cox all day because he constantly had to get double teamed because he was that much of a force in that line. It was always between him and Aaron Donald, although I always put Aaron Donald above Fletcher Cox. DeForest Buckner is a lot younger, but he's up and coming. And I love how he used to play with the Niners before they got rid of him. I think, is he with the Colts now? I can't remember what team he's with.
The Colts, yeah. 49
the Colts now. Yeah. So this one's tough. I'm gonna go Fletcher Cox, not by much, guys. I can't because DeForest Buckner is about to take his spot because Fletcher Cox is on the tail end of his career. It ain't going. But if I have to go younger Fletcher Cox between a young DeForest Buckner, I'm gonna take Cox.
Okay, all right, Jay, what say you?
Well, I was going to take Fletcher Cox. I thought it was going to be easy. I was like, I'm going with Fletcher. He's big, he's strong, he clogs up the middle. Until Britt said he's like an old trucker, I was all set to take him, but Britt changed my mind.
2021 season disappointed me. 21 season.
I'm going the other way, man. I think Cox might be past his prime, K-Walk. So I'm going to take the younger guy and go with Buckner here.
All right, good stuff. Hey, I'm going to take DeForest Buckner, man. I'm going to take DeForest Buckner, man. I just think that, he's a force to be reckoned with. I was upset, when the 49ers had to trade him. And I said had to trade him because they couldn't pay him, and they knew that. So they traded to somewhere that he knew that he was going to be successful and he would get his money as well. So I'm going to take DeForest Buckner. Britt, this is a bonus one. You actually just made me think of something, and I'm going to do one more here, guys. And Britt, since Jay, I'll start with you on this one. Since Britt brought it up, you got the Watt brothers, and you got the Bosa brothers. Ooh. Who would you take, Jay? Thanks for that one, Britt. I had to give credit to that one, Britt, on that.
That's tough, K-Walk. That's tough. I think I would give the slight edge to the Watt brothers, just because when J.J. Watt was at his best and he wasn't hurt, you could argue that he was the most powerful force on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL. And now T.J. Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, he's kind of filling in those gaps now. The Bosa brothers have been great, but I don't know that they've made as much impact, I guess I would say, as the Watt brothers. So I'm going to take the Watt brothers, but it's close. Both fantastic.
All right. Great. What say you?
This one's hard.
It is.
Thank yourself for this. Thank yourself.
Oh my goodness, this was hard because I love Joey Bosa. But Nick Bosa is the main guy for me between the Bosa brothers. Oh, Nick Bosa is scary. And all the offensive linemen are scared to go up against Nick Bosa, especially with that motor. And then when you go over to the Watt brothers with JJ and TJ Watt, actually, I think they have a third brother in there, by the way, that we're not mentioning.
Yeah, he's a fullback, I believe. Fullback.
Yes. It was JJ, right? And the fact what TJ Watt is doing, but JJ was, he has probably more of a motor than Nick does. But because of TJ Watt versus Joey Bosa, I gotta go with the Watt brothers. I just think TJ is the difference maker in the brothers. Look, JJ and Nick, they're gonna do their things, and we already know JJ is a first ballot Hall of Famer with all the things that he has done. But I just don't know if Joey necessarily competes right now with TJ Watt.
Okay. Believe it or not, I'm going to make it unanimous, guys. I'm going to make it unanimous because of the fact of the matter is, everything you guys said, you mentioned, but also the Bosa brothers have a tendency of getting hurt a lot. They do. The team seem to get hurt. So I'm going to factor that into my decision. So based off that, but if they all can stay healthy and they're all in their prime, I'm going to take the Bosa brothers. I'm going to take the Bosa brothers, but since that's not the case, and it's not a perfect world, I'm going to take the Watt brothers for sure. All right, we go to Fagura our next break. We're up against the clock. Real quick, I don't know if you guys got a chance to do the new quarterback wide receiver combo, your top 5, if you were able to do that. Give me your top 5 these are guys that they're coming into the season and they haven't played with these quarterbacks as of yet. For our listeners, this is what we're basing off of. Jay, I'll start with you on this one.
I did it wrong, K-Walk. I didn't do new combos. I did. So you wanted all guys that have never played together before?
Yeah, they're coming in let's just throwing out a name like Derek Carr, Devontae Adams. You got Kyler Murray, Hollywood Brown, just to name a few. I'm not putting them in a particular order. Yeah, but if you're not, we can hold on. You know what? Let's do this since we're up at the time constraints, and we'll save it for next week. And what we'll do here is we'll do our start bench cut. Jay, I'll start with you on this one. We got John Elway, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning. Start bench cut.
Oh man. It's tough because you can't cut Peyton Manning, right? You're not going to do that. And even though Marino never won anything, he was better than, sometimes he gets left out just because he never won. And I guess I got to leave him out again. So I'm going to start. I guess I got to start Peyton. I'll start Peyton. I'll bench Elway and I'll cut Dan Marino. But it's close, man. I almost want to start Elway, but I guess I'll bring him off the bench. Let me start Peyton, bench Elway, cut Marino.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Britt, what say you?
This is not easy, guys. But you know what? I think I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna start Elway. I'm gonna bench Idaho, Peyton Manning, and I'm a
It
cut.
was
And this was
Omaha,
hard
Omaha.
because Omaha. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
said Idaho, Omaha.
Same difference.
I'm a cut. Although he was the greatest regular season quarterback in the history of NFL, but I got to cut Dan Marino. Couldn't get it done in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Listen, due to my list and where I have certain guys ranked at, I'm going to start Peyton Manning. I'm going to bench Dan Marino, and I'm going to cut John Elway. And the reason why I have Dan Marino on my top 5 quarterbacks of all time, ladies and gentlemen, so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
All right. Next one here, we got let me bring it up here. We got Britt, I'll start with you on this one. We got, because I want to hear Jay's on this one. We got KD, Kevin Durant. We got KG, Kevin Garnett, and we got the big fundamental, Tim Duncan. Start bitch guy.
All right. This is not easy, but look, I have him in my top. I think me and K Walker are similar. We have this guy in my top 5, top 10. I gotta start with KG. You guys know how I feel about my trash talkers, gritty, hard nose players. I gotta start KG. I'm sorry, the big ticket. I'm a bench Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental, because it's like he moves so, but you couldn't stop him. He was getting it done, right. And he has what, four rings or something like that. And the way KD played this past season, and it's still disappointing. He could redeem himself. So after next season, we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna cut the mess out of Kevin Durant. So KD, if you listening, you better redeem yourself.
Oh man,
that's probably is listening.
Yeah, no, his ears are everywhere, right? He has rabbit ears. He's listening to everything. But Jay, what say you?
It's tough. I'm going to go slightly different. You guys know I'm not a huge Kevin Garnett fan. I mean, obviously I recognize his talent, but he was just never a guy that I don't know. He just didn't do it for me. I'm going to start Tim Duncan. People would say he's arguably, I guess, the greatest power forward to ever do it. So I'm going to start Tim Duncan. I will bench KG. And for everything Britney said, I'm just down on Kevin Durant right now. He disappointed me, K-Walk. I had all my eggs in that Nets basket, and he just let me down, man. So he's got to go. Maybe he can redeem himself next year, like Britt said. But for now, man, I gotta cut KD.
Yeah, again, I got to stay consistent, man. I got to stay consistent with my top 10, the top 11, 12, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to start KG, big ticket, for everything Britt just mentioned. Just the way he was able to talk trash, his defensive prowess, his smooth jump shot as well. I'm going to start him. I'm going to bench the big fundamental. For everything you said, Britt, I mean, smooth. They call him big fundamental for a reason. I mean, he just did everything the right way. Everything you teach kids, when they start getting, first started getting to start playing basketball. Excuse me. And then I'm going to have to cut KD, man. I mean, for everything you guys just said, man, he just doesn't seem to want it, man. I think he just relies on his athleticism, but he doesn't. His God-given ability, but he doesn't want to work upon that, and that's what's a knock to me with KD. He could be so much better if he decides to get in the gym more. I'm not saying he's not in the gym, but more and is putting emphasis on his body weight, man. If that wasn't exploited, and if he's not going to get it by now, he's never going to get it. Last one here, guys. Jay, Britt, I'll start with you on this one. Jay, when you. We kind of had this on Wednesday night, but I switched it up a little bit, Jay. So we got Steve Kerr, we got Eric Spoelstra, and we got Coach U. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm calling him Coach U from the Celtics.
I'm starting with this one.
Yeah. Start with you, Britt. I'm sorry.
So that's Coach Emi Udoka. I always like to try to pronounce it, guys.
Okay.
All right. You know what? I'm starting Eric Spoelstra. I just think he's a dog of a coach. I love his strategies. I just love how he goes about the game. And he always gets his players to play hard. I don't care what player is on that Heat team. Every player they get plays hard, whether they had Jimmy or they didn't have Jimmy. So I'm starting Eric Spoelstra. I'm going to bench Coach U, aka Emi Udoka. I just think he's up and coming. I think he's going to be a very good coach. And to see what he did and how he turned this Boston Celtics team around midseason, and he got them all the way to the championships with these young players. Meaning Jason Tatum's only 24, and I think Jaylen Brown may be 25 or 26. So these are some young players. And I'm gonna cut Steve Kerr. And I know people are like, "What?" I just think he had the benefit of having a good team, and I just think prior to him being there, if Mark Jackson was still there, Mark Jackson would have won those titles as well. But he had such great players. It was no doubt that he was going to win these championships. So that's my lineup.
Okay. Jay, what say you? Start bench cut.
I agree with Britt that to start Spoelstra, because I do think if all things were equal and you just said who could outcoach who, I think Spoelstra's the best coach out of all three of those guys, no question. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna bench Steve Kerr because look, we don't punish Phil Jackson for having Mike and Pip and Shaq and Kobe, so I'm not gonna hold it against Kerr that he got Steph and Clay and those guys. And he has great players, no doubt, but you still have to win it. You still have to get it done. So I'm gonna bench Steve Kerr. Coach U was great. I mean, in his first year to get his team to the NBA Finals, it's phenomenal. So I definitely think he'll be back. But for now, I got to cut Coach U.
Okay. I'm going to side with Britt on this. Yeah, go. Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Britt.
I'm sorry, K-Walk. I always put Larry Brown as a better coach than Phil Jackson. Just putting that out there. Go ahead.
That doesn't sound biased at all.
I wouldn't argue that.
No, I wouldn't argue that either. But but I see why you brought that into play. But yeah, I agree with Britt on this one. I'm gonna start Spoels, and I'm going to bench Coach U. Even though he stole my lady, man, Nia Long. That's all right though. I'm over it. And
hey, Walk, you're not over it, man. You're not over it.
Facts, Jay. Facts. And I just think that Steve Kerr, like Britt said, I think he has the benefit of those great players. And we talked about Steph, who's arguably a top 10 player right now, and he's still playing. He's still got quite a few years left to go. So I'll start Spoels, bench Coach U, and cut Steve Kerr. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time that we have here, man. It was a great show. Britne Jones, thank you so much for joining us and making the show better, so much better than it could have been. I want to take this time to wish everyone, or the fathers, I should say, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, Jay, for sure. Enjoy your day. Before I leave, before we go, I want to leave you guys with this. To the world, you are a dad. To the family, you are the world. For myself, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins on the Walkthrough Radio Show, joined by Britne Jones. God willing, we'll talk to you next week.